Hello, and welcome to TechBytes.io. In this episode, we're going to write a command line application with Python. Our command line application will be the creation of a Magic 8-Ball program where you type in a question and it provides you with a random answer. Let's start coding. So, since we're writing a command line application, I figured it would be best for us to just start in the command line. So open up your terminal, go ahead and go to whatever directory or file folder that you want to operate out of. In here you can see I'm operating out of TechBytes Python, and I am going to operate out of change directory into the CLI directory for command line interface. So now that I'm in the CLI, you see I do not have anything in here, so let's go ahead and create let's see, we're going to call this application, I said Magic 8-Ball, so we'll make it magic8ball.py. So I'll create a magic8ball.py file, you can see it is in there, and then I'm going to open up my text editor. So now that I'm in my text editor, let's see what we need to do in order to create this magic8ball.py program. So we're going to take some notes. So first we're going to put together a comment, and we're going to say what the system does. So we're going to provide a random answer to a Magic 8-Ball question. So that's what we plan to do. That's what we want our system to do. Now our application. Now, using the 3 tick marks, I'm going to create a couple lines of comments here in order to figure out the different steps. So first, we need to actually no, I'm going to do one comment at a time. That way, we can put the code around it. So what are we going to need? We're going to, of course, need a list of answers. Once we have a list of answers, we're going to need to be able to ask a question. After we ask a question, our system will need to return a random answer. This is going to operate just like those Magic 8-Balls you had, where you may still have laying around, or you had as a kid, where you ask a question, you shake it up, and then inside the 8-ball floats up the answer. So here we're going to have it's going to return a random answer, and then that would complete the entire application there. And if we want to get a little bit more detailed or provide some more things, we could have we could have it ask if we want to ask another question, so that the program doesn't close out on us every time. So do you want to ask another question, right? And then let's see, if you do, if yes, then we simply repeat, right? We're going to repeat this entire thing, and then let's see, I guess we should have if no, right? So then if no, then we will exit the program. Alright, so we have a couple options here. Up here we can run through, we can ask our question and receive an answer, and then the entire program close out. Or if we want to make it a little bit more extravagant, we can ask our question, we can return an answer, and then it will ask us if we want to ask another question. And if we do, then we'll ask our question, return an answer, and it'll keep doing that until we decide we don't want to answer any more questions, and we say no, and it will exit the program. Okay, so then don't, of course, Control S, don't forget to save. I like to get in the common practice of saving on quite a frequent basis, quite a regular basis. And luckily in this text editor, you can see that it'll give you a dot up here to remind you when you have some work that hasn't been saved. Alright, so let's see. Let's start right here with, we need a list of answers. So we're going to provide exactly that. So one, we'll start with a variable, which we'll call answers. And we'll use our assignment operator, the equals assign, to put in a list of answers, which is what we're going to do. So let's see, let's write some answers. So we'll say yes, and then we'll put in another one, and I'll say okay, and let's see, we can put a whole bunch in here. So Dunno, how about nope? How about we get a little frisky and what? Let's see, we'll have why are you asking? If I can type, wow, I'm all over the place today. Why are you asking me this? We can put doubtful, and we want to put that, make sure it's in our string, and then we put about maybe, and it depends, because as we remember, those magic 8 balls provide just a varying degree of answers. They're all over the place, and they don't really provide you with much of an answer. Alright, so here we have our list assigned to our variable answers. And then see here how many items we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 9 items inside of our answers. So we have a list of 9. Alright, and so after our list of 9, so now we want to what? Ask a question, right? So we need to be able to ask a question. So we're going to run with the string. We're going to ask for an input. Our input is going to be about what is your question? And then we will add some spaces here at the end. Control save. We'll add some spaces here at the end so that there's a space between between our response, the question, and our response. And then we need to return a random answer. So with that, we are going to need to do a couple things here. We're going to need to import a module, which will be random. So we're going to import the random module. And then so in order to return our random answer. So here we're going to use R is going to be our answer. So there we will take it from answers, and we will use our, like I said, our random module. And inside our random module, we use randint, asking for a random integer, which asks for a random integer from a range. And our range will be 0, because that's the first item in the index of our list. Right, so if we go up here, remember this is 0, 1, so we have 9 items here. But the index starts with 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we could just go to 8 here, and that would close it off. But what happens later on if we want to ask more, or we want to put more answers, or we want to subtract answers? That requires more work. Then we have to come up here and we have to delete this answer, and then we have to come down here and we have to change our number. Or if we want to add in more answers, we come up here and we add in more answers, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of them, and we got to come down here and we have to add it to the number. So why don't we just use another built-in function called len, which is the length, and we will take the length of the answers, which is up above, and we will subtract 1 from it. So it'll be 0 to, to 9 minus 1, which would be 8, right? So that way we can come in here and we can add in, and it'll add in as many as we want, and it'll come back down here. No matter what we add in or we subtract, it will always come down here and tell us what the range is. All right, so now that we have we've pulled up our answer, we need to be able to provide it. So we need to return, actually see the answer to our question. So with that, we will then just print R. So now that we've printed R, now let's hit Control Save, and let's take a look at this. Let's pop open the command line and see what we have. So I'm in the command line. So in the command line, let's go ahead and run our program here. So we're going to type in, and let's see, so let's remember, see, there it is, magic8ball.py, and we will say Python, and type in magic8ball.py, and there, it's asking, what is your question? Alright, so should I ask more questions? Nope. Alright, well there you go. So we wrote our program and it worked. It asked us what our question was, and I asked the question and received my response. So just as we had talked about, we had created our Magic 8-Ball little command line application, which we can easily run, just by typing in Python magic8ball.py. We have our question. Will I be president? Maybe. Wow. Well, that's nice. But see, as you can see, that's it. That's the entire program, and then once you receive your answer, it closes out. So if we wanted to make it just a little bit more a little bit longer of a program, which it asks you if you want to ask another question, so that you don't have to continuously Python magic8ball.py your way into the system. We can make our program just a little bit more robust. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back into my code editor. Alright, so back in the text editor, let's go ahead and take a look here. So now we want to make this a little bit more robust, and we want to be able to ask another question. And if we do, we want to be able to repeat. And if we want to say no, then we're going to exit. So to do this, we are going to use a while loop. So we need to be able to ask a question. So, all right. Here we're going to say while. We're going to use the same thing, string, and ask for an input. And inside our thing, we're going to say, do you have a question for Magic 8-Ball? How about it? And then we'll say yes, well, yes or no, and put some spaces here. And then if the answer is not no, then we will do this. So if the answer is not, so we're saying, do you have a question for the Magic 8-Ball? Yes or no? And if the answer is not no, which means the answer would be yes, or just really anything else, we will receive this question, which will ask for another input of what is your question. And then we will return a random answer. We will print our random answer. And then, so that takes care of, let's see, so then we will want to have else. So if the answer is no, meaning it is not yes, we will just close out the program and we'll print goodbye. So let's see this in action then. Going back into the command line, let's run, let's see, so we have, there's our magic8ball.py. Let's run it again. We'll say Python magic8ball.py. And we have, there we go. Do you have a question for the Magic 8-Ball? So we could just type in no, and it should just close the program out. Yep, there you go, it says goodbye. But, so let's do it again. Do you have a question for Magic 8-Ball? I'll type in yes. What is your question? Am I going to be a rock star? Dunno. Alright, not too informative. Alright, so, but then, see, we're cycled back through and it says, do you have a question for Magic 8-Ball? Let's try it again. We'll say, yeah, to remember the question, or the way we wrote it, the input is asking for this comparing against not equaling no. So here we type yes, which is not no, and we get another question. What is your question? My question is, am I going to the moon? Ask later. Okay, but like I was saying before, remember it evaluates to not know. So I could actually put anything in here. I could just say, as long as it wasn't no. Hi, what is your question? Let's type in a question. Am I going to the mall? Dunno. Okay, well, you're not too informative again. But as soon as I do type no, there you go. It says goodbye and takes me out. So there we go. We built our program. We got it to work. That's our Magic 8ball.py program. We were able to, that Magic 8ball asks us if we have a question for it. If the answer is yes, or anything other than no, it asks you for your question. You ask your question, and it provides you a random answer. Thanks for joining me to create a command line Magic 8ball application in Python. Use it well. See you next time on TechBytes.io.